Now available on Mindset Mastery Moments.
Coached her. I lost sleep the entire night. I was anxious before because, again, I was like, I don't know, I should be talking about it. So that the whole thing of how I lost the job and everything came up again.
I'm so moved by what you said. Your sense of safety and security within a job environment had been impacted. And yes, that threat of PTSD carries through as we continue to move forward. That Mary Frances O'Connor wrote an amazing book called The Grieving Brain. And in it, she talks about grief in a way that I found to be so accessible, which is people believe it's like, okay, I just have to get on the other side of grief. Okay, I just have to work my way through it and then I can get over it. The hard truth is that grief, it doesn't go away. And she gives an analogy or a metaphor. I always get analogy and metaphor confused.
Too. I am that person.
That grief is like a broken bone. And so I'm pointing to my arm right now because I once broke my arm in 3 places, is that if you don't set that broken bone, you might still be able to function. There's going to be pain, limited movement. It's going to be wildly uncomfortable, but you can, navigate through life. If you set the bone properly, you can probably regain, 100% of movement. You're not going to have pain. You're going to be able to get back to your normal activities that you enjoy. However, if we x-ray the arm, a year later, 10 years later, you will always see that arm had been broken at some point. And so it is with grief. That we learn how to integrate the grief into our lives and into our identity with the acknowledgement that sometimes the grief event is traumatic and that there's PTSD. Rituals are important because it teaches our brain that the thing that we were attached to is no longer there. And so this then tees up the next task of grief, which is creating a ritual. So we have rituals for when people die, funerals, memorial services, depending on people's religious beliefs, you could sit Shiva. When my mother died, I planted a tree. And so we do things to memorialize. And now this goes back to Mary Frances O'Connor and The Grieving Brain, which is that rituals are important because it teaches our brain that the thing that we are attached to is no longer there. And that's why we sometimes have cognition issues when we're grieving, because our brains, there's this thing called pattern recognition. So we look for what we're attached to. I enjoyed my drive to work every day. I'd listen to a podcast or I'd listen to some music to put me in the mood. And so after I was fired, I would have this sense of like, I need to get up. I need to go get ready. I need to get in the car. And it was disorienting and I was confused because my brain didn't understand that job no longer existed. At nighttime, as part of my job, I would read scripts every night in order to prepare for the next day. And at night, I'd have this sense of anxiety. It's like, I'm not reading. I'm not preparing for the next day. And it affected my sleep because I couldn't relax. I thought there was something that had to be done and there wasn't. So creating a ritual to have what I call like a good goodbye is very important to teaching the brain.
Listen now on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts around the globe.